East and the West. You've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. I just got done with the second episode of All In. It didn't go like the way I wanted it to go because I was waiting on my guest and then I didn't send him the link right and he couldn't get in and it's just a big whatever. But last night, Talkin Tickets did cash out for folks who did tail last night. We did go ahead and get a 63-1 home last night with the DogDay PK4. American cashed out. Manhattan cashed out. Western Kentucky cashed out. And also Pacific cashed out. And pretty much they didn't throw a parade for me this morning. Where's my parade, y'all? And then we had the NBA Thursday PK4, 14-1 last night. We had the Wizards money line plus 110. We also had the over 229 with the Sixers and the Mavericks. We also had the plus 6.5 with the winner chicken dinner with the Spurs. I knew the Spurs were going to win the game. I just took the insurance. And then we wrapped it up with a good, thorough defensive win by the Warriors last night, who got us the under 231. So there you go. I just got you guys started off pretty good on the weekend, 63-1, 14-1. If you guys do the math, you did pretty damn nice. So pretty much, it's time to start paying a little bit of homage, y'all. I don't know who's handing out 63-1 tickets to you. You know what I mean? I see a lot of people handing you plus 220 with 75 favorites on there. You know what I mean? So, come on, let's start getting this thing right. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and jump into what happened last night. And Jaime Jaquez leads number 4 UCLA to a nice win over ASU after slow start. Time for the get back game Saturday versus Arizona. When I say get back game, it's just pretty much a game that you got to play to get your respect back. UCLA lost that game to Arizona a few weeks back. It was a big game on ABC. Everybody was really excited. Both teams were highly ranked at the time. UCLA was the number 2 team in the nation. Arizona at the time was, I think, probably number 6. I'm double checking now. They were number 11 actually. So UCLA wound up losing that game by 6. What happened in that game was that UCLA kind of ran into a little bit of the brick-itis a little bit in that spot, and it just really. They really couldn't. They did have a nice way of getting back in the game late, but they just couldn't pull it off. But last night UCLA was down 10 points, and you got to understand the game was on ESPN, but the game before it delayed the UCLA game. So usually, sometimes when these games get delayed, I don't know if the players know that the game's delayed, but they don't play that good in the first few minutes when the game's not right on TV. UCLA wound up being down 12-2. After that, they pretty much went ahead and outscored them 77-49 after that point. So pretty much that was a 28-point switch, and that was absolutely incredible because they won by 18 last night. Jaime Jaquez had himself a great first half. I think he had about 15, 16 points in the first half as well. He was playing headsy ball. I called him the Mexican Larry Bird this morning because I just felt like, he's just like Larry when you see how physical he is. He's to the hoop and he's not scared of anybody. So that's what makes it that much more special. So when I say get back game, Arizona won last night. by 6 against a tough USC team. They're going to be confident going into this game. UCLA is already looking at being a 6-point favorite in this spot. I think that's a bit much for UCLA because UCLA really hasn't proven that they can beat one of these top 10 teams and beat them down. You know what I mean? I love UCLA. UCLA to me is the best team in the nation. But have they truly been challenged? When the one weekend that they did have to be challenged, it was Baylor and Illinois. They lost to both of them, okay? And they haven't really had to play against any ranked teams this year like that. But they did smoke Maryland at Maryland, and they also beat Kentucky at the Garden. So those games are huge in moving forward towards the tournament. And these happen later in the season. Baylor, Illinois happened the first weekend of the season, literally the first week of the season. So those are two different teams. All right. Those are two different teams, in my opinion. The first UCLA team that was in that Vegas tournament, they were going against a lot of cupcakes before they got to all those good teams, before they got to that good weekend. And so they had to kind of get themselves on the same level as really good teams. Even though they didn't lose by much, it still showed that, hey, you guys got up in both of these games and you blew both of these games. So you got to figure out a way to where you guys keep these games in front of you. So UCLA looking good. UCLA with the 9-1 right now as well, too. You better go get it. You know, I'm telling you right now, bettors, go get Kansas, go get UCLA. Those are the two teams that you can really lean on to win the national championship. I think the plus 60 on Houston is too low of a number, but I still take it. It's 6-1. Why not? You know what I mean? But I don't think that they're the favorite to win the national championship. I don't care if the game's in Houston. You know, I don't care if the game is in Houston, but I know the last time they had a Final Four in Houston, I think Houston wound up winning the national title, I think, or losing to UCLA. So, you know, it's one of those years, man. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be Bama and Texas A&M. Bama and Texas A&M looking to have a very, very good game. And I want to wish a happy birthday to a guy that's always watching the show, my nephew, Mr. Osman Kareem. Happy birthday to you, sir. He turns 34 today. So pretty much, man, you know what time it is. Happy birthday to you. Come see me this weekend. We'll go ahead and tip some for you, man. So pretty much we have Alabama 26-4. You have Texas A&M 22-8. The top two teams in the conference right now, Alabama has already solidified themselves as the number 1 seed, regular season champ of the Southeastern Conference. Now, what Texas A&M is trying to do is they're trying to go ahead and hold down that 2nd seed right now, even though they are 14-3 and pretty much have locked it in, so they don't have to worry about much. But at the end of the day, this is still a good measurement game for Texas A&M. It is senior day as well, too. They haven't lost a game at home yet to anybody in the SEC either. You know what I mean? So they have that working in their favor as well. So, you know, they're looking to get themselves a nice win tomorrow. And I think that you got this Alabama team that's looking to just get the season over with because they've been getting dragged through the ringer for what happened with Brandon Miller. So, you know, they just ready to go ahead and just kind of, you know, get this weekend over with, get themselves prepared for the tournament. They've won their last 8 out of 10. They're sitting at number 2 right now. But the moment they became the number 1 team in the nation, they got shell shocked. They got absolutely obliterated by Tennessee. So I feel that when you get down to it, this Alabama team might be getting a little tired right now, but they still have what it takes to get over the finish line. And Alabama has been really good with Nate Oates, and this was probably his best group at Alabama since he's been there. So this team is not thinking just win the big SEC. They're thinking about winning a national title. They want some of that attention that the football team has. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I think Texas A&M will be the winner of this game tomorrow. I just don't see them losing. And we'll see. We will see. But I really do see them going ahead and winning this game. Now, we have our next game up. for top games of tomorrow. It's going to be Kansas and Texas. Kansas and Texas is going to be a really good game. You got Kansas coming in here 25-5, and you have Texas 22-8. Kansas is a team that's looking to go ahead and just get another good measurement win. But they pretty much, and I told everybody, I said it did not matter. Eventually, Kansas is going to rear their ugly head and win this conference, even losing 3 games in a row, 3 conference games in a row at that, and they still got themselves to the number 1 seed in this conference. So Kansas and Kansas State both sitting up at the top. You got 5 ranked teams now in this conference as well. You had 6, but Iowa State has been going through it a little bit these last few games, man. Hasn't been good for Iowa State. Iowa State's actually fallen kind of off. I think they were 17-8 at one point, and they were the number 13 team in the nation, and they've been really bad since that point. So, and they just came off of losing to Virginia. They've lost their last 6 out of 7, 6 out of 8. Actually, their last 8 out of 10. And, it's awful compared to what they really were. Like, everybody has to understand, right after the Texas Tech game and right after that close loss to Kansas, it just hasn't been the same. You know what I mean? And, since that point, they've won 4 games, and, this team was way better than that. And that's what's sad to see. They're 4-10 since that point, So, it's just not good. A team only had 2 losses and they have 14 wins and 13 wins. Now they're 17-12. So are they going to still make the tournament? We will see. But it's going to be a tough ask, man, when you're playing Baylor. But Iowa State has good wins earlier in the year. Iowa State beat number 1 North Carolina. They were the ones who knocked them off and took their O. They lost to Connecticut by 18, but they beat a good St. John's team. But I know one game that's going to really linger with them. It's going to be this Iowa loss by 19. But they got a good win against TCU. They got a good win against Texas, and they also beat Kansas. So this team, and they beat Kansas State. So they beat 3 teams in the top 10 who were in the top 10 at that time, and they beat TCU. So they've beaten 5 ranked teams, and they've beaten the first number 1 team in the nation, the number 2 team in the nation, and the number 5 team in the nation. So this team literally has to go ahead and probably just win 1 or 2 games at their tournament next week, and they should be in. But let's talk about Kansas and Texas. Kansas and Texas, literally, I think what happens here in this game is that you have a Texas team with revenge on their mind, and I think that they're going to go ahead and get a good win here. You know what I mean? You got Texas, they're 11-6 right now. They're sitting in the 4 seed, and it looks like that, this is pretty much a log jam. So they win, possible 2 seed. They lose, they'll definitely be in this area right here. You know what I mean? So it's not looking too bad, but they do kind of want to avoid the quarterfinal matchup with Kansas. They much rather play those guys in the final, in my opinion. So I think that all in all, this is going to be one of our better games of the weekend, if not the best game of the weekend. And I think Texas winds up getting themselves a good win over a Kansas team that really doesn't have to play for much. But, that the point that they're Kansas and that they're chasing a number 1 seed. But I think that Kansas is already pretty much locked down that number 1 seed. They are the defending national champions. Should I say more? Literally, should I say more? And the Texas Longhorns have been in the top 10 all season. They have not been outside the top 10 this season. So this is going to be a very, very good game at Moody, the brand new arena for the Texas Longhorns. All right, let's go ahead and jump into what's turning into my favorite subject this month, and that's going to be 30 teams in 30 days. And we got ourselves the Twins. It's the Twins, y'all. The Twins coming in here with had a record of 78-84, 3rd in the AL Central last year. This team got really hurt at the end of the year as well, too. But, man, I was looking at the projections on this lineup. I think that I might be underestimating the Twins a little bit. Byron Buxton is a guy that right now, go ahead and just play the future MVP for MVP, because I think that this guy is good for the money, and Carlos Carrera as well too. Either or, because if these guys have strong seasons and this team makes the playoffs, it's because these two guys are one of them, and they'll have somewhat of an MVP performance to do that. And I think that Byron Buxton is a guy that the MLB has been waiting on. To be honest with you, they're always talking about, you know, trying to get back in the black players, and we need more black players playing and more stars and things like that. And then when I saw Byron Buxton and Stanton hit home runs back to back, I said, we don't have a problem here. We just have a problem with the way that the MLB is being marketed right now. Everybody is being overlooked. Every star in the MLB is being overlooked. But we figured out that we have a lot of good players in this league at last year's All-Star game. They had it at a great venue, being Dodger Stadium, an OG venue, as I like to say. And so sometimes you get a better idea of how the game is really going. And Byron Buxton, when he hit that home run, I said, man, this guy needs way more TV time. He truly does. And I think that Byron Buxton, with a really strong season, delivers the Twins to the playoffs. Okay. And Carlos Carrera is going to be on a revenge tour, because they really went ahead and slept on the guy, overlooked the guy, said that the guy played the guy. He had two monster contracts in place. One was for 300, then the next one was for like 200, then another one for like 100. And then he finally just was able to settle with the Twins and get an absolutely reasonable deal with, what was it, 6 years, 150 million. But the first few deals were like 13 years for this and then 10 years for that. And, those deals were just astronomical. And I think those teams really knew that they weren't going to be able to do that. You know what I mean? They just jumped out of it because they knew that they had jumped the gun on that situation. So I think Carlos Carrera is Mr. My Sweet Revenge this year, and that should be key. Max Kepler should be a guy that's going to be very feasible for this team out in the outfield. Jose Miranda looks like he could be the X factor this season as well. He does have a projected batting average of 270. That would be second on the team right now when it comes to the starting lineup. So that's something that you can hang your hat on as well. Joey Gallo's on the way as well too. They have projecting him to hit 25 home runs, 62 RBIs this year, but they do have him projected to strike out 180 times as well too, and be up under the Mendoza line when it comes to the batting average. So Joey Gallo, was he a good pickup? We will see, but I think that the Dodgers helped him somewhat resurrect his career, and I think that he's going to be much better than people picture him to be, because he stepped it up when nobody believed he could still step it up. And Joey Gallo probably does have another, has a second act in him to be a big time hitter in the MLB. We'll see how it goes with the Gallo. But the thing that really separates the Twins from the rest of the group is this. The Twins have pitching. Pablo Lopez is going to come in as the ace this year. Sonny Gray, former ace. Joe Ryan, hard throwing pitcher. Tyler Mahle played in Cincinnati. He had great days in Cincinnati, but he didn't have run support some days. So it is what it is at the same time. And then Kent Maeda, the former Dodger. This guy is a very consistent pitcher. He's getting up there in age, but he's a guy that can eat up innings. He can get good strikeouts, and he can just be really good for you moving forward. So this team has everything that it takes to be a team that could possibly be in the AL Championship Series or be in the World Series, because I have all these teams looking pretty good in this division this year, except for the Tigers and the Royals, but they're the usual suspects. But at the end of the day, this division can be won by any of these teams. And I have the Twins going under. Actually, not under. I have them going over 82.5. I don't know who the hell, how that became an under, but this is the over. I'm fixing it now. But they're going to be over 82.5 for this year. And I think that we have ourselves a three-man race for the AL Central title. The Guardians, of course, you're going to be the favorite. They're favorites at plus 170. Then you're getting plus 225 on the White Sox, but you're getting 375 on the Twins, a team that led the AL Central literally the first 4 months of the year, and they fell off the last 6 weeks of the season because Buxton got hurt and others got hurt. And they also traded away one of their top. They also got nothing at the trade deadline as well too. So this team literally was not. After a while, it seemed like they weren't playing for the playoffs. They were just playing to make sure that they established a nice season for this season, I guess. So pretty much there you have it. I'm taking them with the over 82.5. And then when I look at this overall division, the overall division of this league, this is how it looks. If you guys haven't been watching all week, this is how the division is looking to me. And that's not correct. And here we go. That's how the division is looking to me. And this is what it's going to be. So I like the White Sox with the plus 225 because the White Sox were the team I had winning this division last year. But they just didn't. They just ran out of time. And I think this year with the White Sox, it's not that they're going to get off. I feel like they're going to get off to a really strong start. I have Tim Frazier being one of the better players in Major League Baseball this year. And I think that pretty much it will be held down by a great pitching staff. Their first 3 guys in the rotation should be very adequate towards getting them some good quality wins as we start the season and go through the season. I also have the Guardians here at over 86.5. That means that I have the White Sox possibly winning 90 games this year with the Guardians winning 90 games this year. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out in that accord. Tigers, I got them going over 70.5, but I don't have them winning more than 75 games this year. They're just going to improve on what they had last year. Then you have the Royals, a team that finished 65-97 last year. I have them going under and being literally the same exact team. They're possibly a 100-loss team as well, too. So you go ahead and mark that down as well. And then I have the plus 375 Twins, who easily could win this division at over 82.5. And I feel like they can be a 90-win team as well, too. And it's going to come down to the last few weeks of the season to decide the winner of the American League Central. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into the NBA. We got the State of the Lakers, and we have the NBA Friday night with the 5 games that I got selected for you. And then after that, we got Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right. What's up, world? Let's go ahead and we jump into it. Let's jump into it. So, that's good to know. That's good to know. Oh, that sucks, man. When teams sit up in here and fight during these high school games and act like they're going to be able to still continue their high school run in a championship situation is just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? And so pretty much it is what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the state of the Lakers. The Lakers have themselves a very, very intense situation going tonight. They got a tough game because, you know, everybody want to sit out all of a sudden now. You know what I mean? Everybody want to sit out. Everybody got to take a break at the wrong time, you know. But we all know that if you really watch Laker games and follow the Lakers, you knew that AD was not going to be playing the night after, you know, losing to Memphis. If they would have beat Memphis, they would have played AD the next day. But they lost, and they told themselves that we don't trust that OKC is that good of a team. We just feel like when they got Shea out there, they try a little bit harder. But if they don't have him out there, they're going to get cooked. And, you know, this 10-unit group really was good. I was so proud of these guys. And I know I talked about it literally like the other day, yesterday as well, too. But I was so proud of those guys, man. Every person that was in the lineup contributed. Everybody who was in the lineup. You couldn't be in the lineup and do nothing on Wednesday. You had to go in there and help do something to win that game. Wayne and Gabriel was a guy that got very overlooked in that game. He wound up snatching 10 rebounds, and that was incredible because I think 5 of them were offensive rebounds, and they were all key offensive rebounds that got the Lakers back in the game when they were down. Incredible. Then Mo Bamba started. Mo Bamba had 12 points and 7 rebounds. And that was absolutely incredible because I called on Mo Bamba to have a good night, and Mo Bamba had a good night. And then they're saying already that, you know, Mo Bamba is in love with playing for the Lakers because he knows that they're playing for the playoffs, and he knows that playing for the Lakers is a different type of pressure. You got to show up or you're going to get clowned. You know what I mean? It'll be worse than Austin Rivers telling you that you ain't nothing but an old ass rap song. So, you know, Mo Bamba was good, but the guys who were really stood out to me and they were literally like the three-headed monster. It was Lonnie, Schroeder, and it would have to be Reeves. And then you got a good effort from Troy Brown. Troy Brown was the second leading scorer, and Troy Brown led all scorers at the first half. So these guys took it upon themselves to be good, to be really good. And then when you look at the Lakers' whole group, they have 8 guys that are averaging double figures right now. That's insane. So them getting 8 guys to get double figures and play the way that they did, that was just what they do. So the Lakers got themselves a really good win there. But tonight, things are a little different. You're playing against a Minnesota team. It's their first game of the month as well, too. It's their first game. They did win their last game against the Clippers on Tuesday as well. So they won that game by 7. So they've had 2 days to chill, relax, sightsee in LA. That's not good. To me, that's not good at all because they stay at the JW Marriott right across the street from the arena, right? So when you go get out of there, there's a lot of stuff to do. You can go over and get some of the food right outside the stadium. You can walk up the street and go to some nice little lounges and things like that. And then there's nothing but pretty women walking around there as well, too. That's an utter distraction right there. You coming off of a big win the other night where you know everybody went to the club. You know that for sure. And you know everybody went out to do something last night. So, and I don't know what club was popping, but we know clubs be popping on Thursday in Hollywood. So, you know, I know they got to take this game very seriously and everything like that. But I don't know. You know, you're spending a couple of days too long in LA, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know, man. If you want to get back in the flow of things, especially when you're in Los Angeles by Thursday, and they gave you 2 days in LA to just hang, I don't know. You know what I mean? So they were struggling though coming into this game. They had lost 3 in a row before winning that game against the Clippers. Last month, they actually wound up going 5-6. So that's encouraged. That wasn't good for a team that's chasing the playoffs. They've played themselves out of position as well too, because Minnesota was in the 6 hole for a moment there to be in the playoffs, but now they've moved all the way down to the 8, and the Clippers are now sitting at 7. With the Warriors, who were on the outside looking in for a moment there, they've now worked themselves into the 5 hole with no Curry. So, this is crazy because the Lakers are sitting right here a game out from New Orleans right now, and they hope that New Orleans actually loses to the Warriors tonight. But watch this be the night that the Warriors absolutely get rocked by the Pelicans. Just watch. It usually works out like that. So really, I feel like they're chasing Utah and Minnesota at this point to get in here, because I think New Orleans will still wind up being a playing team because Zion will be back right before, the end of the season. So I think that will get them in the play-in. But I think that the Lakers and Portland will overtake Minnesota and Utah to be in the play-in this year. You know what I mean? I think that's what seriously happens, because let's keep it real. You need the Lakers and Portland in the playoffs because you need Dame time and you need LeBron, AD, and the Lakers in there as well too. And the Clippers, you got to be there as well. And New Orleans got to be there. But if you could just boot 2 teams out of it, it's Minnesota and Utah. If Utah didn't have great expectations going into this season, they were trying to tell them to tank for Victor. Minnesota, we would have said they would have had a great season this year if everybody would have been able to stay healthy. But that didn't happen. So pretty much everything went according to plan. But there's one team in here that's doing a little bit too damn much, and that's going to be the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings are the 3rd seed right now, and they're 36-25. They're 2 games out of being the 2 seed right now, and literally they have Phoenix at bay. Phoenix is 3 games behind them, but Phoenix is on the way. That's why it's like Sacramento better keep it up, because Sacramento is the team to me that has the best chance of of falling like dominoes. The Clippers are too, but I think that Sacramento is the team that you look at because Sacramento has 4 teams chasing them that are nipping at their heels right now. You got Phoenix, who's only 3 games back. You got Golden State, who's only 4 games back. You got the Clippers, who are only 5 games back. You got the Lakers, who are only 7 games back. So they got teams nipping at the heels right now. And last week, they were only a half a game up. So, this is a very fun conference, right? A very fun division right now, and it's unbelievable that they're probably going to get all 5 of their teams in the playoffs this year, not the in the playoffs, and that's going to kind of put a sour taste in everybody's mouth if that happens. So it is what it is, and we move forward from there. Let's go ahead and jump into the NBA Friday night. And NBA Friday night does present some very intriguing matchups, some good matchups, some very one-sided matchups, and some very whatever matchups as well too. Like who cares about the Hornets and the Magic, right? It doesn't matter. When you are better, all these games matter. You know what I mean? All these games, some of these games, that game can be, it's like this. One man's trash can be another man's treasure. For somebody who's disregarding that game, there's somebody right now that put 3 stacks on it and they feeling good because this is the game that everybody ain't paying attention to. But usually the games that you always feel everybody ain't paying attention to, that's the game everybody's on. Everybody tries to avoid the big TV game and all those games that have a bunch of talking heads having a bunch of opinions about it. Everybody wants to watch a game with the teams that don't nobody care about, right? So it is what it is when you're betting, but you pick your spots. You know what I mean? It don't matter what game it is. If you pick your spots right, then you'll be all right. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and jump into the first game, which is Suns and Bulls. Suns, this is a match. This is an old finals matchup from 1993 said that the Bulls won, and that was their three-peat as well too. You have the Suns 34-29, the Bulls 29-34, plus 3.5 doggy dog at the house tonight for the Bulls. The Bulls coming into this one looking to get themselves in position to get into this plan. They just got a good win the other night. They won 117-115 over Detroit. That's pretty good because they had a pretty bad stretch to end February. They wound up losing 7 out of 9 to close out the month. So pretty much now they're looking at pretty much trying to get this thing back together. I wouldn't say they got a tough schedule coming up, but they do have Phoenix, Indiana, Denver, Houston, and Sacramento coming up in their next 5 games. I would say that the tough teams are the Western Conference or the 3 teams in Phoenix, Denver, and Sacramento because they're top teams in the West. But Indiana and Houston look like 2 games that they should possibly be able to play pretty good in. So we'll see how this one shapes up. But I think that all in all, Phoenix is coming into this one very loose. They're very confident now because they got Durant. Durant dropped 23 in the first game, and we all know that they're coming into their own right now. And they did lose 2 out of 3 to close out the month of February, but they wound up finishing 6-4 last month. So they're all right. They're in good shape. They got Chicago tonight. Then they played the early game against Dallas. I know a lot of people will be excited about that because they're going to NBA jams that situation. Luka and Kyrie versus KD and Booker. And it's like, dude, everybody, they got other players on these teams. So, pretty much my thing is like this. You have a very fun game tonight, but I think what happens here at the end of the day is that this winds up going over because the Bulls always seem to really show up against the better teams in the league, and they've been a pain in Kevin Durant's side all season. Like they truly have. Look up the games that they played against the Nets, and the Bulls have had their number all season. So, they've had KD's number all season. So pretty much tonight, they know they're playing against KD. This is the same type of team they were dealing with when they were playing against the Nets. So I think that what happens here is that you could possibly get an upset with the Bulls tonight, but I much rather go ahead and play the scoreboard and play the under 222.5. So I mean the over 222.5. I am so sorry about that. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We go from there. Man, I already had done a show before this, all in, and then I go right into this show. So y'all just bear with me, man. We got Knicks Heat. This was an awesome series back in the 90s, and these guys actually did catch fades on the court. So that's why everybody is always talking about, well, back in the day, they'd have just threw down. No, everybody wasn't throwing down. It was certain teams that would throw down. You know what I mean? And they had to throw down for a reason because, there were certain teams where they just didn't like each other. Nobody liked each other on those teams. You know what I mean? You might have had a few words in the club. You might have took somebody's girl on the, that's how it was in the 90s. But everything wasn't a tabloid situation, and nothing was if you weren't in the room, you didn't get the news. It's just that simple. You know what I mean? You didn't have any gossip sites, chasing the players all around everywhere. And you didn't have wives up in here being thoughts. So it is what it is. So pretty much the Knicks and the Heat, this is one that we used to always enjoy watching on NBC. Now they're in a position where the Heat are in a play-in and the Knicks are actually in the playoffs, and that's kind of surprising because the Heat actually lead the Southeast Division, but it's because the Southeast Division is so bad and they got off to such a bad start that they're sitting in a bad position right now. So pretty much when you look at the breakdown of this one, I think what really we say here is that you have a Miami team that's very desperate for a win. And you have the Knicks who have been able to finally find a guy that cares more about winning than just being a citizen of New York City. And that's going to be Josh Hart. Josh Hart has stepped it up big time for this team, and it's absolutely incredible. They beat the Nets by 24 last night, and that was kind of a big FU to the boys from Brooklyn to let them know that they still run New York. Brunson had 39 points the other night. Quentin Grimes had 22. Julius Randle had 21. And then you had 15 from Barrett, and you also had Robinson get 13. So their whole starting lineup was in double figures. Quickly came in with this 15 as well, too. Jay Hart was great. 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 points. Everything worked their way. Everything worked out. It's crazy. Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose a few years ago were seen as some top players for this team. They're not. They didn't even get in the other night. So that just goes to show you the difference in this Knicks team. Obi Toppin's still trying to scratch the surface a little bit as well. So the Knicks are just doing things their way right now, and the Knicks actually are coming in here on a 7-game winning streak. And the Knicks did so good last night. They actually finished up 9-2 last month. So, the Knicks are feeling really good about themselves going into this one, man. And right now they got 7 in a row, and they've actually won their last 10 out of 12 games. So, it's the Knicks world right now, and we just living in it. So the Heat, they struggled. They're trying to get better. And what happened with the Heat is this. The Heat lost to a tough Philly team. They had lost 4 in a row, then won at the end of the month. That wound up having them 4-6 last month, and now they're trying to get things back right because they were in good position. They were in the 6th seed, 5th seed. Now they're sitting at 7. They're trying to get back, and they're trying to hold off the Atlanta Hawks as well too. But all in all, this is a really big, crucial game for Miami more than it is for New York, because New York has pushed themselves into a cushion situation over Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is slowly tumbling right now. The domino effect has happened for Brooklyn, and there's nothing that most can do about it. So pretty much we have this here, and I think to myself, hey, Chris Pugh, how you doing? You have a good spot. And I think tonight Miami's desperate enough to go ahead and put the money behind them. I like them with the plus 130 tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. We have ourselves another, which is the game of the night here. Grizzlies and the Nuggets. The Grizzlies coming in here 38 and 23. You have the Nuggets 44 and 19, 5.5 point spread to the Nuggets tonight, over under a 233.5. This spread says danger to me because every time I've seen Denver at home this year as a 5.5, they wind up losing the game. I'm not BSing you guys at all. It's like literally like every time I see it, it happens. So this is their first game of the month. Last time they played was on Tuesday. They won by 21 points against Houston. Everybody's been beating Houston by 21 points. What's new? They also got a great win over the Clippers, though, on Sunday night, beating them by 10. And they actually absolutely crushed it at the end of the month. They wound up winning their last 6 out of 8, and then they wound up actually finishing up the month 9-3. So they did pretty good for the month of February. It was a short month, but they figured out how to make that short month work for them. So this team is looking to go ahead and continue the good times. They're already the number 1 seed in the conference as well, too. And then, pretty much they got the perennial MVP. Jokic looking at his 3rd MVP in a row. And nobody cares if you think he's a stat pattern. Nobody cares if you don't like his game. Nobody cares if you think he's not the best player in the NBA. The boy just wants to win, and that's exactly what he does. I love watching Jokic play because Jokic plays basketball the way that basketball is supposed to be played. So, y'all get over yourself. I know you guys want to be these new revolutionary, reckless shooters and shooting from 50 feet and thinking that all that stuff is the best of the best, but it's really not. Jokic is showing you at the end of the day, if you stick to the basics and you're really good at doing the basics, you'll beat everybody. So it is what it is, and this team is moving right now. Now, you do have a Memphis team that's kind of showing their true colors right now. They're really kind of overhyped. They went 5-5 last month. They needed to go ahead and get a great win over the Lakers to have a winning record for the month as well, too. And the Lakers actually had them down at many points in that game. Then Wednesday night, they were able to get a good victory over the Rockets, who, once again, everybody is just picking on the Rockets right now. So what's the point of even bragging about beating the Rockets? Because they're absolutely trash. So I feel like what happens here is that you got to play the scoreboard because you have Memphis that just came off of a good win over the Nuggets on the 25th. But then you had the Nuggets play them prior to that in January, and they got a good win over them. So, pretty much that's what we have here. We have two teams that really know how to go about it. And actually, they're 1-1 on the season. I'm sorry, because that game was back in December and they beat them by 14. They beat them by 12 last game. So this is a good game going in tonight. And then you have the Nuggets as a 5.5 point dog. As a 5.5 point favorite. I'm sorry. That makes you a little bit more confident, but really it makes you want to take the Grizzlies as the side tonight. They've been talking a lot of smack about Ja Morant, and these are the type of games where they're going to make it a lot of spotlights on you, Ja, because the game is on ESPN tonight. So I think Ja has a big night, and I think they wind up getting an upset tonight as well, too. Because when you look at it, Denver doesn't need this win as bad as the Grizzlies do to keep their chemistry intact, because I think they're really close to falling apart. And I hate to see it, but there's a lot of distractions coming into the locker room now, and John Morant has to go ahead and focus in on the team and be the best leader he possibly can be. And I don't know if he's doing that right now. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Grizzlies Nuggets should be a good one. I'm going to take the under 234 in this spot. Let's see how it goes. All right, we got ourselves a game I know I've reviewed probably time and time again, and that's Pelicans and Warriors. And you know what? The Pelicans actually have the Warriors number this season, believe it or not. They beat them by 40 points this year. Nobody talked about it. So, this is the type of game where the Pelicans have their back against the wall. And, going into this one, a lot of the bettors are going to be like, well, no Zion tonight, and the Pelicans are playing bad while the Warriors are playing great. Well, the Pelicans lost 4 in a row to end the month, and they lost 4 out of 5. They lost 5 out of 6 to end that month. They wound up winning 4 games and going and losing 7. So, no, they lost 6. Sorry about that. They went 4-6 last month, and then they get a good win over Portland in Portland, beating them by 11. And as I said before, they've had some really good spots against Golden State this year, where they absolutely crushed Golden State this season. And, Golden State got that on their mind, thinking like, man, these guys beat us by damn near 50 in one of these games. So we got to get them. We got to get them back. They beat them by 45. They beat them by 9 in these games. And the crazy thing was they were both road games. Now, how did they do at home against them? That's the biggest question. They ain't played them at home yet. So, this is a different day and a different time. But when you beat teams by first time you beat it, when you beat teams by double digits twice in a season, a lot of times you got that confidence when you play them again to beat them again. So I think that New Orleans is a team that can honestly go ahead and really shake up the apple cart tonight and mess up a lot of people's money. But I think that the Warriors will find a way to go ahead and win this game. But every time it seems I back the Warriors on a spread, they don't show up for me. All right, I'll just keep it real. They don't show up for me. So I'm banking that they show up for me tonight, because this is a team that's been playing really good basketball as of late. They've worked themselves back into the 5-0, but that might be a reason for them not to care tonight. You know what I mean? And so you have to look at it. But they've won 4 in a row, and they've actually won their last 5 out of 7. So, they saved themselves from having a really bad month last month, especially losing Curry. At one point, they were 3-6. They finished up the month 3-0. They wound up finishing the month 6-6. So this team is really putting it all together at the right time, because that's what the good ones do. We have to remember the Warriors were the world champions last year. So with this one, I like the Warriors with the 4.5. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. All right, we move forward, and I'm rushing now. Clippers Kings. This is a good game tonight. I'm guessing that they're going to probably put everybody on the bench tonight, because it was a 6.5 at first, and now it's an 8.5. Why would they do that, knowing that the Clippers had the Kings beat last week? And lost the highest scoring game of all time by 1 point. So why would the Kings be such a high favorite in this game, knowing that the Clippers are their worst enemy right now? And knowing that the Clippers are way desperate for a win with Westbrook as they, move forward with Westbrook with this idea that they're going to win a championship with Westbrook. You know what I mean? Because I even said that the Clippers had found their final piece. I don't know if they found their final piece now. They've lost 4 in a row, and they've been losing since Westbrook got there. They had 1, 2 in a row, then they lost 3 in a row to close out the month. Last month they were 4-3 before Westbrook got there in February. They wound up finishing the month 4-6. So the Clippers need to just get some oxygen, man. They need to breathe a little bit tonight. And I think that's all they need. I think Sacramento, they're overplaying Sacramento as the favorite in this spot tonight. And I'm going to have to go out on a limb and take the Clippers with the +8.5 tonight, because I think that the Clippers actually can win this game tonight. But I'm not going to jump ahead of I'm not going to put the cart before the horse. So I much rather go ahead and take the insurance, because let's keep it real. Sacramento finished the month winning their last 5 out of 6, including the last 4 in a row for the month. All right. So they won 9 games, lost 4. So they're playing great basketball right now. So that's something that we do have to put in a core. But I don't think that they're 8.5 points better than the Clippers right now. But I know what they're looking at. The Clippers are going to probably be shorthanded. One of the big 3 will be out tonight. I don't know which one. Probably Kawhi, because that's why they have at 8.5. Maybe both Kawhi and PG-13. But I know Westbrook's going to play. So they know what they got to do. They know they got to step it up. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. But I do like the Clippers with the +8.5. So there it is. There it is. All right, let's go ahead and get into the conference tourney bets. Conference tourney bets looking so good. And I'm going to be real quick with these because we only have so much more time, and I want to make sure I get out of here on time. All right, so we have up first, and don't get on my head. We know that we know 3 of these tournaments have started already. So, it is what it is. Sorry, the tournaments have started already. Big South Tourney, Asheville lost 9.5. Upstate is 1 +160. We got Campbell tonight +5.5. We got Radford money line -120. That should be good for us. We have the Missouri Valley tournament. We got Northern Iowa. They covered. I'm looking at Indy State. Indy State was up 2 points. Hopefully they went ahead and took care of their business, got themselves the win here. I'm over here looking for the score now. What is it? What's it gonna be? Hampton is out, so I'm gonna show Hampton, but Hampton's out right now. The Colonial, they got absolutely taken to the woodshed. So I'm just gonna keep it real. They got absolutely crushed, and that's my sister's alumni, and they got crushed. Hey sis, they got crushed. You know what I mean? I was like, man. And then Indiana State pulls it off against Belmont. They beat them by 3. So we got they got Kawhi and Powell are out. Okay, no problem. But the Clippers are the deepest team in the Western Conference. So who cares? Why would they be an 8.5 point dog going into the game? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Just think about it. Like, they're really setting this thing up for the Clippers to win this game tonight. So you might want to jump on it, because they're really telling you, okay, we don't think the Clippers have a chance. We think it's going to be – no. The Kings still are figuring out how to win and win the right way. They're looking good with their record, but they're still figuring out how to win. All right, so we have Drake with the 11. They're going against Murray State. So we've already won our first 2 games in the Missouri Valley today. And then we finish up with Missouri State with the +130. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Should be good. All right. We have ourselves now up is going to be the Ohio Valley Conference Tourney. We swept this one last night, and both these teams took care of business for us. We had Southeast Missouri win their game. And tonight we got them again. And then UT Martin was our team last night. We got them again with the -120. So pretty much that's what it's going to be with the Ohio Valley Conference. Both are playing in very tough spots. But Martin is playing against a rival in Tennessee Tech. And Southeast Missouri is playing against a team that is seen as the best team in the conference, but they don't care. You know, it's Morehead State, but they don't care. They are looking to get a win, and have won some really tough games. But Morehead State is coming in here on a nice little win streak as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's going to be our OVC group. Now we have ourselves the Southern Tourney, Mercer at -6 tonight. And then we have VMI plus 13.5 with VMI tonight. VMI is always a tricky team. They may not win, but they always figure out ways to cover. So that's why I'm putting them here. They're going against Chattanooga, a team that is vulnerable to get beat, and they've lost their last 3 in a row as well, too. But VMI has lost their last 4 out of 5 as well. So, both these teams kind of struggling coming up in here. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but that's going to be the Southern Tourney for you. Then we have the Summit Tourney, where we have Denver with the plus 100 going against North Dakota in a toss-em-up game. And then Omaha's in their spot going against UMKC in another toss-em-up game. And I think that these teams take care of their business in these toss-em-up games. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but that's the Summit Tourney for you. Then we have the West Coast Conference Tourney with BYU -6, and then we have Pacific with the plus 9 tonight. And I also I'm doubling back on Pacific tonight on the money line. I'll show you guys in a second as well, too. But this is going to be a good group tonight. Second round of the West Coast Conference Tourney. And you know what? This is always one of the funner tournaments to take in Vegas because it's over at the Orleans, and it's an oldie but goodie tournament for this for them as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. And thank you for the update on Mercer as well, too. Nephew, Mercer's up 20 right now. Campbell's down 4 to Longwood. So there it is with that. And that's the West Coast turning for you. Now let's go ahead and CBB PrimeTime PK6 Talkin Tickets. We have plus 8.5 on Miami. We got the plus 13.5 on VMI. Then we have Sam Houston with the 6.5, and then we have Radford with the -140. Then we have Grand Canyon with the -105, and then we end up with BYU with the -6.5. Now let's go ahead and jump into the DogDay PK4. The DogDay PK4 is going to be Central Michigan plus 250, Southeast Missouri plus 160. Then their buddies to the north, Missouri State plus 130, and then we finish up with Pacific plus 320. So that's going to give us an 88-1 ticket right there. High value, high ceiling. So as I always like to say, a small risk, big reward. Let's get it. All right. And then we wrap it up with the over 225 and 222.5 with the Suns and the Bulls. Our NBA dog of the day in the Heat plus 130. Our under 234 with the Grizzlies and the Nuggets. The Clippers plus 8.5 spread tonight, which will probably dip down to what Nephew said to 7.5. So you should get your number now at 8.5. And then we end up with the Warriors in the final game of the night with the 4.5 to the Warriors with the 30-1 ticket. So there it is. There it is. That's another show for you. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best, man. I love doing this show on a daily basis. I've been reinvigorated to do this show as well, too. So you guys are making it that much better for me. So let's make sure we're all back on Monday for another great show and talking about the weekend that was as well, too. We got some big games coming up this weekend as well, too. So you guys make sure you're looking out for those as well. And then we got conference tournaments left and right this weekend as well. So you guys, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. That's all I can say. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys are the absolute best. I look forward to being back to you Monday. And you guys, as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And I'll be right back at you on Monday. And you guys make sure to be on the lookout for all my bets list, all my talking tickets throughout the weekend on the Twitter at Pop DiBiase. So I'll be back to you. You guys enjoy your weekend. Be good. Be great.
from the